So every country, globally there are a lot of guidance and regulations. European Union come up with ESRS and US it is ISSB. Globally, UN is guiding for Sustainable Development Goal, which also has a climate and social aspects of it. And India has its own sustainability reporting called BRSR, Business Responsibility Sustainability Reporting. It became mandatory from last year. 1,000 top listed companies in the stock market. They have to mandatorily disclose the ESG. So that gives the seriousness of how governments or institutions are coming up with regulations. That is also one more point why enterprise needs to take this very seriously. Enterprises are adapting and they are sustainable. Everybody could be sustainable. Yeah.
Welcome to Being Scenius with Sriram Selvan. This is the 6th episode in season 2, especially on sustainability. In this episode, we have Thiruvenkateswaran Ramachandran, CEO and co-founder of ClimeUp.ai, joined with us for this conversation. We had a conversation about why a corporate or a startup, an MSME or manufacturer should adapt sustainability into their organization and the importance of ESG reporting. In a recent article, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman urged chartered accounts to get comfortable on adapting CSR accounting, carbon accounting, and to get comfortable with them on ESG report and stuff. ClimeUp solves the exact problem by helping enterprise to get adapted on this sustainability activities. Especially it helps enterprise to collect data in real time. ClimeUp.ai also provide advisory solution for enterprises to get adapted and let them educate on this ever-changing environment of sustainability practices. This is one of the episodes where I learned a lot about the new things where I haven't explored before. I strongly believe this episode will help you in the same way that how I get educated on different aspects of things which I haven't never explored before. No further delay, let's get into the podcast now. Hi Thiru.
Hi Sriram.
Welcome to Being Scenius with Sriram Selvan. So following the episode done with Vishnu on sustainability, so we are doing the next episode on sustainability. Actually, Vishnu talk about sustainability on the ground level. So we are going for enterprise level as of now. So I'm privileged to done a second episode on sustainability. I just plan to do more on sustainability. Like what I have bring you for enterprise, I like to bring more people down. So before we speak about ClimeUp, sustainable technologies, Sustech and things, I just want you to introduce yourself to our audience. Then we can go along the podcast.
Sure. So I am Thiru, founder of ClimeUp. Co-founded with my partner Chandra Kumar. So I carry 20 years of corporate experience in IT technology, ranging from SAP to conversation AI, IoT, AR, VR, you name it. So we build IPs products. In my last startup as a first employee, I got opportunity to build the team from 0 to 1. And we built a product which is primarily for smart cities, energy efficient buildings, net zero buildings, which is now an award-winning product in India, widely used in northern part of India for large residential communities. Okay. So that's been the my career so far. And last year we incubated ClimeUp. So it's been 1 year now in this space.
So before we talk about the enterprise and things, I just want to know about the sustainability in your point of view. Like how you see sustainability, not from the enterprise level, from a common man level, how you see sustainability.
Sure. I think the word sustainability, very predominantly spoken and even to a common man level, is primarily the post-pandemic.
Okay.
Because that's like a reset button for the entire planet, where we stopped our work, stopped our business, and there's a lot of uncertainty, right? So we are unable to sustain our both business and economic level. As a common man, so we need to have a methodology to continue our day-to-day activities, being environment friendly, responsible citizens, right from buying unnecessary things or plastic usage. So there are a lot of things which as a layman or common man can contribute for a sustainable environment and the choices we make in it.
Okay. Do you believe that sustainability is achievable in net zero, what you're talking about now in your space? Is it possible to achieve from a common man perspective Can we able to educate them in a short term period?
Of course, it's only possible if common minds are involved.
Yeah.
If you put it rightly, right? Each and everybody, as a consumer, we need to make a choice of what we do in a day-to-day life, and based on that, I think we can eventually achieve that. That's how I believe it.
So, just a curiosity question: do you follow any sustainability practice in your day-to-day life, like you have implemented?
Of course. So one of the first thing is, as a company, we don't procure new laptops. So we use refurbished laptop for all the employees. It's basically like, you extend the lifetime of the product, which actually helps to save the energy spent on producing the product. So that's one thing. And personally, so right now, I don't own a car.
You won't own a car?
I don't own a car. So we still manage with carpooling and stuff like that. So whatever is possible, wherever we can live simplicity way. So I try to follow that.
Yeah. So I was in Chennai for last week, and one thing I really wanted is the carpooling things to be happen. So when I see in the traffic, most of the people were and single people, they have own a car and they are all make the traffic actually.
Yes.
So actually the carpooling thing is happen. It wasn't a talk for a very long time, no? Is it happening right now?
It's very much. I think it's more about the attitude towards sharing your own thing. And I see it's happening in more of metro cities like Bangalore, Chennai and Mumbai, where the traffic is heavy and people are very conscious about spending and sharing that. I think especially the Gen Zs are really...
they are really into it.
Really into it, yeah.
Okay. I thought like it was just a concept from long back. It was not happening.
No,
it was happening there.
It's happening. And I have been one of the, user of the carpooling.
Okay.
Past 6 months, I've been traveling to Bangalore, shuttling between Bangalore to my native in carpooling. It was, you get new connections, you meet more people, you learn a lot of things. So it's actually helps socializing as well as environmental friendly as well.
So you reached Chennai yesterday, no? So
yes.
Do you had an opportunity of done carpooling here?
Yesterday, no, because yesterday I came from airport, so I didn't get opportunity. So I had to carry the baggage and stuff like that. But otherwise,
But there is a need of an application for these things to happen here in Chennai.
Yes, I think there is a lot of apps like Blah, S-Ride and stuff like that. But there is some corporate sustainability where people going to same office, they use that. My colleagues and previous organizations as well. So it's been very much active. But I don't know about post-pandemic, people are concerned about these wearing masks and sharing things. I don't know how it's changed now. But I think Gen Zs are killing it.
Okay. So we move to the sustainability for enterprise itself. So enterprise means business and companies, no?
Yeah, it's primarily corporates of all sizes.
All sizes.
Right from small, mid and
from MSMEs to startups and from big corporates. So we are talking about sustainability in a day-to-day level with Vishnu. So how sustainability can be achieved in enterprise level?
Yes. So it's very much happening. And still it's in the awareness stage. But the term sustainability and ESG is, used in different contexts.
It's been a buzz around ESG, no? In recent times.
So ESG is nothing but environmental, social and governance. So it's basically, it primarily talks about the business practices and ethics of a company around these factors, environment, social and governance. And with respect to how companies are identifying the risks and opportunities in order to be a sustainable business, right? So that is what primarily around ESG per se. And the need for this ESG or sustainability is becoming more evident now. Is because it's coming from multiple dimensions. If I take a couple of minutes on that. So one from as a company, again I take the COVID example, right? So a lot of companies shut down and they didn't have any plan B because they didn't have the risk assessment done properly. If something could happen, how do we sustain our business? How do we pay salary to our employees? Serve the customers? So there's not enough risk mitigation plan is done. Starting from there, the investors are getting lost because of not enough assessment done on the company. So basically, multiple stakeholders are involved. So right from your customers, they need a sustainable product and they're looking for looking to invest in a company where there is sustainable practice are followed. So from a customer point of view, from an investor's point of view, they actually going to heavily invest and for the company from a capital point of and they need to know what is the future for this company. So if I invest $10 today, whether I'll be getting $20 or I'll be paying from my pocket for the damages or the negative impact caused by the company. I will give an example. So
that should be more resonating.
Yeah. So if you take any, I think textile industry or any industry per se, so you make a long-term decision. So we are going to do this plant and machineries, and this is the way we are producing the product, right?
Yeah.
And what happens in every stage of your product development? So there is a lot of wastages, and the machineries emit a lot of carbon. So all these wastages and air, carbon, which is actually impacting the atmosphere or the environment surrounded by the factory. So this all accounted for the company's impact. How they impact the environment. And if you take textile, the lot of the waste or the dyeing, if you just discharge it without proper processing, that has impact on your water, groundwater quality and things like that, right? So that's what, in a layman term, companies take responsible actions and they need to ensure that they take right processes to make the proper discharge of these things after some purifications and things like that. So that actually helps to
both way, no?
Yeah.
So while we are talking, you said like these things were more keen in US and West. So it was not that much practically been applied in India itself. So do you see there is a need for these applications and the ESG certification and things in India itself? Do people aware of it?
Yeah. I mean, just to state corrected, it's not 100% India is not doing it. There is a lot of matured players are doing it and a lot of awareness now.
Yeah.
So
just about the people who are in MSME.
Yes, you are right. So that
the major part.
True. But why MSME is into focus is MSME involved in creating the components or they supply product which is intermediary products to some big players who are actually producing the end product. And people are involved in the import and export. So if you are in the MSME segment and you want to export to Europe and North America, and they need to have, because in US and Europe it's becoming big topic because of the climate impact. And so there are a couple of things globally happening. The climate change, the Colorado spring, the fire, the Pakistan flood. So likewise, there's across globe there is a climate change.
Yeah.
And from a pre-industrial era to now, there is close to 1.5 degrees Celsius increased in just 150 years because of the industrialization.
Okay.
Now, the Paris Agreement, people always talk Paris Agreement. So Paris Agreement is nothing but, all the companies are legally, I think close to 196 countries are legally binding agreement. They say that, they contribute for climate temperature reduction. For a maximum of 2 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
Right? And to the best 1.5 degrees Celsius. So they try to do it for 1.5 degrees Celsius. So that is how the countries are committing. That means it's cascading to the industries in every country.
Okay.
And the kind of energy source they use.
They ensure that they are ESG compliant.
Yes.
Okay.
So every country, globally there are a lot of guidance and regulations. In Europe, there is European Union coming with ESRS and US it is ISSB. And globally UN is guiding for Sustainable Development Goal, which also has a climate and social aspects of it. And India has its own sustainability reporting called BRSR. BRSR. So Business Responsibility Sustainability Reporting.
Okay.
It became mandatory from last year for the 1,000 top, from a cap perspective.
Okay.
1,000 top listed companies in the stock market. They have to mandatorily disclose the ESG parameters.
Okay.
Not only for them, the complete value chain of their suppliers and the vendors.
Last mile, first mile, everything.
Everything. So upstream and downstream. So that gives the seriousness of how governments or institutions are coming up with regulations. That is also one more point. why enterprise needs to take this very seriously.
Okay. So is it possible to view by a common man on these things, the ESG certification and things, the reporting and things, can we see by a common man?
Yes. It's all available publicly.
Okay.
And every company, because as a customers, they need to, one of the stakeholders is customers. So they need to publish it in their website. And from a regulatory standpoint, they need to integrate this into their financial report.
Okay.
So it will be available in public for all the common people to access.
So those who are doing exporting also have to maintain this ESG, no?
Yes. Yeah. Exports is mandatory to have. So now Europe is coming up with it's already, there is a directive called CSDD, Corporate Sustainability Directive, Due Diligence Directives, which is mandating that anybody exporting product to Europe has to have these things covered.
Okay.
And only then they are allowed. And then they are imposing carbon tax if their emission is beyond the certain allowable limits. So that's the thing.
Sorry for the interruption. If you are watching this episode on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to Sriram Selvan for updates on the future episodes. Make sure you subscribe and leave a thumbs up and a comment, which helps algorithm to know how valuable our podcast is, and it will help us to reach to more people. Now over to the episode. Okay. So how ClimeUp help this kind of people out?
Yeah. So ClimeUp, what we do is we help, we say like we supercharge the sustainability for corporates. So we wanted to bring the outside in view from our enterprise experience working with technology. So ClimeUp is a sustainable technology company.
Okay.
We try to solve the problem with the technology. So we have primarily two offerings. One is advisory services, because this space needs a lot of enablement. Education, because there are so many jargons like the ESRS or ISSB, BRSR, all the countries coming with regulation. So the enterprise needs a proper guidance on for the business they do and the impacted stakeholders depends on the region, which framework they need to choose and how they need to collect data.
Okay.
So from a advisory standpoint, we help corporates from collecting the data, training the team, help them prepare sustainability report and the carbon emission reports perspective. And the second core offering is the technology solution. So we have a ClimeUp Sustainability Intelligent Platform, which primarily helps, it's a one-stop solution for sustainability, where the enterprise can track the complete data and measure, monitor, and manage their sustainability in real time. So that, unless you don't measure it, you cannot manage it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the problem we are trying to solve with the technology, with the real-time data. The board and the C-level folks can make.
While we spoke about ESG, environmental, social, and governance. So ClimeUp help to metric these three things in the software itself.
Yes, so this is a sustainability intelligent platform, right from identifying or baselining your ESG metrics, carbon accounting, so we call it as a GHG emission calculator, and then till you prepare your reports. So these are all the first steps. So you baseline the data, baseline the metric, what you have, and then you prepare report. The second step is to take actions. So we also have a goal setting module where customer can decide for this business year. Out of the metrics, you find some improvement area and you figure out, I need to improve my employee diversity or I need to invest in clean tech. So there is a goal setting module where you can set the goal and you can track it in real time. So that is also it's like an end-to-end suite, right from baselining, goal setting. And one of the challenge companies faces, so they have offices in different geographies. Right? So headquarters in US or Europe, but they have a branch office in Brazil and India. And globally, the data needs to be accumulated and you need to understand which region is doing what and how you. So that is also the ClimeUp platform helps. We centralize the data in the cloud where users can remotely monitor anywhere from the globe. And you get a complete insight of across your facilities, which facility is doing good and bad and how you can improve, take actions. To the level of details, we go to the assets. So for every asset in the company, how is impacting the environment.
Right from the laptops you said.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is a we do.
Okay. The social part is there now.
Yes.
So how you track that and how you measure the social part of the enterprise?
Right. So one thing I would like to add along with the platform is like after you set the goal, the final important thing is the measuring of the impact.
Okay.
Right. So that is from all angle, like environment, social governance. So where you get to measure the impact, because companies are now taking action. They set a goal, but what is the impact of that particular goal?
The outcome is the main.
Outcome
thing
is
now.
the main, and the investment they are making, whether it is giving proper ROI. Currently, there is no tool or no proper mechanism to track it. Right.
Okay.
And ESG is a space like the HR and CRM. You have so these are the softwares, B2B softwares people known for years. But for sustainability, there is no such single end-to-end platform available. So that's the space we are in. The data is available with corporates. So we need to spend right technology and right guidance to accumulate the data and then put it in the right ESG metrics aspect of it. And coming to the social aspect of it, so primarily coming into your own employees.
Okay.
The health and well-being of the employees and working conditions and gender diversity, ethnicity. So all these parameters makes the sustainability score in social.
Okay.
And not only for your own employee, and also for the vendor's perspective.
Okay.
So if you are procuring, let's say,
material
material from outside, so there is a mining happening in Uganda, and the work life is not good. Especially you might have seen news like EV lithium battery, and a lot of minings not have proper protection gears. Those are things concerns the people who are making battery. So when they source this cobalt, they know that this is particular mine, we should not buy it because the working condition for their employees is not good, which means that it is going to impact their ESG score. So they will indirectly push or mandate the good health and the working condition for the employees. So that is how it's like cascading the positive things, but in a hard way. I mean, you need to push it to make it happen.
Okay. Does it have a questionnaire kind of things in the social part? For
Yes.
Tracking down the well-being of an employee?
Yes. So every ESG framework, if I take GRI, it's a global reporting framework, one of the widely adopted framework. It's very clearly listed the material topics, like right from environment, water, waste, and pollution. And from a social perspective, employee wages, working condition, health conditions, so women employees benefits. So all those things are covered, and with a clear definition.
Okay.
I think that is where the corporate needs guidance, because sometimes they don't understand the exact data they need to disclose, even though they have it. So one is to understand the framework, what data needs to be reported, and second, to figure out where you need to source the data within your corporate. So these are two things the corporate needs to do.
That's where your advisory thing came into place.
Advisory comes.
Okay.
Because we spend a lot of time with our own environmental specialists, climate scientists, and ESG data analyst. Help them to understand what they need to do based on the size. If it is MSME or mid-level or enterprise. So we have a advisory solution based on this size and scale.
So in advisory solution, you educate and help them to navigate the process.
Yes. So that's all. Because once you educate, then you need a tool, because the platform is just a tool. But unless you emphasize on the importance of these metrics and bring a mindset change, because it needs a lot of behavioral mindset change.
Right from what we think and what we do in a day to day, we have to bring some little changes.
Right, because right from the hiring, let's say HR needs a proper hiring strategy to have a mix of ethnicity and thing. And if you take from a procurement standpoint, they need to draft a policy, like you give an example of the mining example. Right? So all the vendors in the corporate, they need to put a due diligence to ensure the vendors are properly following the ESG metrics. So that's the responsibility of the procurement. So likewise, it's cascading to all department to take some steps on system.
Okay. So let's assume me as a startup. So I have started and I just want to know about the ESG and things and work in a tech space. Do I need to be an ESG compliance startup?
Yes, it's like the earlier is better. As you grow, you may have many challenges to manage. Like,
should I think about in the early stage, when I was in a growth stage, should I consider these things?
Yes, absolutely. So it's like, as of now, there is no mandatory for small and micro companies. Even to MSME, there is some leeway. It's another 1 year, 1.5 year to report, because the government and the regulatory bodies knows that they have to start from the big fish and then come to the small one.
Okay.
But having said that, there is something called the value chain. The big companies are procuring from another mid-level companies or MSMEs. So they will indirectly, push that limit. And for startup perspective, if you're having a good ESG data internally, it's easy to get even funding. Because the investors will be looking for how you are good at the early stage. Even though it is not mandated right now, but I feel it's good to have.
It can help us to make an extra point in a pitch deck, no?
Exactly. So it's definitely help and stand out in the competition, and how responsibly, proactively you are doing this, and the governance point of view.
Yeah. So when we search ESG on internet itself, now Google, the first thing it's say about ESG investment only. So how it helps in an investment perspective only, I just have the result like that.
So it's actually become mainstream now. Even the point about how a common man can understand ESG, right? I think most of the people now do trading, they do options and all, right? So all the big corporates, now they publish their ESG disclosures.
Okay.
And it is being taken into account for their performance in funds, like mutual funds. So if, let's say, if Tata is having a brand, product, and they have released an ESG report, and based on the ESG score of that company, the stock value could increase or decrease. Because the end consumer, the retail market, is very cognizant of understanding these intricacies.
So one other way, people will get educated in a soon time, no?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you are not doing proper due diligence on this and you are investing, there could be possibility that like the company may end up paying a big fine because they caused environment damage or some humanitarian issues. Then that becomes the company's loss becomes your loss. So as an end, common man or consumer, so you have to take care of these things before you invest on ESG funds or green funds.
Okay. So what's your vision on that ESG fund, no? Especially for those who are concentrate more on the environment things. So how do you see that?
Yeah, it's actually the data what we are seeing is it's actually giving more profit. ESG is really helping them to be more profitable in terms of business and a positive outlook of the brand. And the other side, flip side, there is a recent report from KPMG. More than 50% of the M&A deals has been called off because the due diligence, ESG due diligence was not giving a good, the view of the companies. That means the seriousness of the business. If you want to survive, you want to raise capital, then you need to have a good ESG practices in place. It's no more a checkbox, you just tick it and then it's actually a survival. Yeah.
Okay, when people know about the ESG thing, they are approaching you. So what would be the life cycle from starting itself? If I reach you, that I know that I should have this thing. So what would be the next step and how ClimeUp would take me to the entire process?
Right. So right now what we do is also we work 5 different industries across customers from US, Europe and India. So what we help is we first assess their current level of ESG maturity. So there are companies already published ESG reports previous year, but not enough key metrics captured on ESG. And there are companies who are like visionaries. They want to start without any mandate from their end stakeholders. So there are different sides. So first step is to do benchmarking and then understanding the internal structures and then value chain partners, what kind of business they are in. And then help them with identify the right metrics. And then depends on the market they are targeting. If they are in India, they need to go for BRSR. or if they are Europe or US and Australia, the different frameworks. According to the target market and customer stakeholders, there are some mandatory framework they need to follow. There are some voluntary disclosure they can do. So we help them with identifying that.
Okay.
So that they know what data they need to provide. So that's the second step. So then we help them with setting up a data practice where they collect the data from different departments, and that's where the tool comes into play, because managing such a large volume of data, it's not possible in Excel. And more than you need to understand and get a meaningful insights so that you can have some actions, right? So that's where the ClimeUp platform helps them in a large way to collect the data seamlessly and manage it. And also it helps for auditing process. So there is an auditing module where the data can be shared remotely with a link, and the auditors can just log in and view, verify, add comment to the data they have. It's a complete end-to-end seamless process. It's nothing like this in before.
Okay, so as I am a small enterprise, I just want to get started on these things. I want to explore myself for some time. So how can I start? What are the action steps without having go for any application or something? I just want to get started and want to learn these things. So where should that people should get started then?
Yeah, I think the first step is to get yourself familiar with what is ESG, and especially the industry you are in. Depends on the industry, like real estate or textile or manufacturing. You find the right metrics, what you need to do. So there are a lot of open source materials. Open source material, Udemy is also providing courses, and United Nations giving a lot of free courses on sustainability.
Okay.
So many materials are available. GRI also provides a lot of materials. So a lot of sources. The problem in this space right now, I think anybody in sustainability space agrees, there are too much of information.
Okay.
It's an information overload, right? So that's where the advisory plays a role.
Okay.
What information is needed for you to take care, and where you need to spend effort rather than boiling the ocean, right? So that's where we help. Yeah.
So do you have any clients from Chennai itself? Do people reaching out for this kind of thing?
Yes, we did a project in Chennai from Sriram.
Okay.
So there is a factory. They fabricate, the home decor products.
Okay.
They export it to Malaysia and Singapore, and we help them prepare that due diligence report for their export perspective. And so far, like 70 facilities across India, 5 sectors, 70 facilities, and 1 million tons of CO2 equivalent has been monitored and reported through our systems and our advisory
for
team.
them.
For different customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific case studies or success stories that you are proud about when you're about to meet someone in the same spirit itself? No? Do you have any such kind of story to share?
I think the answer is yes. Every customers we do, it's success story, because it's impacting their businesses directly, and they are happy. Like so, one of the players is then into automotive, and they fabricate components for trucks for a big company in US, and they export it.
Okay.
And they source steel from another big company from India. So the value chain is completely traced, and we are able to provide the proper baselining for them. And with that data, they are able to share it with their customers. It's actually giving trust for their end customers. Okay, our offshore delivery centers or our offshore vendors are taking proactively these measures, contributing, in a responsible way for environmental and social. So we help them with that. And there is another facilities primarily on a consumer product based out of Kolkata. And then they have facilities across Northeast. In that product is again they export to Asia, APAC market and UK market. The headquarters in UK. So they also have generated the sustainability report with our team support. In all these scenarios, we see that the happiness from customers, because before a month or so they don't have any clue how to do this. And after we come in and we help them with this data and guide them properly and generate the report, and they are really happy that a big task is achieved.
Yeah.
And it's not only that, we also help them with the proper guidance after that. So once you've done the report, how you need to collect the data for the next year, you have to start now, because it's not that every year you come back and ask like, can you help me to So we said like, we are not doing that. So we want you to be enabled, self-sufficient way. So you have a tool, and you have what is your baseline data, and we trained you so you can take it on your own. And wherever you need, our experts are there 24%, so help you with that.
So Thiru, you told like you are working with 5 kind of industries. Can you break it down, and what kind of industries are they?
What kind of industries
are they? Specifically.
Okay. I think primarily the heavy emitting industries are the focus.
Okay.
Which is like your mining, oil extractions, or steel manufacturing. So wherever the lot of the pollution, air pollution, or GHG emissions, that's the key target.
Okay.
Because that is directly contributing to the temperature and climate change. But otherwise, in every industry, there is any product you make, so there is an embodied carbon in it. So right from sourcing of raw material, so we call it as a cradle to gate. Right from mining till the transportation of the product to your gate, and then you use that product to turn into another product. Right, so you manufacture it, and then you have machineries and processes, like it goes for, let's say, welding process, or the different process inside the industry, and you may use boilers, HVAC system. So a lot of energy you consume, and even the electricity you consume as part of your factory operation, it's coming from a grid, which is again using a fossil fuel like coal to power the grid, right, to generate energy. So there is something called scope 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Scope 1 is your direct emission from your own operations. Scope 2 is indirect emission. So where the energy consumed for your operations, whether it is coming from clean energy like renewable energy, solar or windmill, or it's from the traditional fossil fuels. So that mix is also captured. And then the scope 3 is where all your indirect emissions through your value chain partners, both from purchasing goods to till the the last mile, end of the product life,
to reaching to the end customers.
Right. So complete the spectrum of value chain, from upstream and downstream. There are various steps involved, right? So before you make a product, after you make a product, then you ship it to some customers, and you put it in a store, and then from there customer buys. The usage. So when you use the product, there is emission also. So certain products have emission while you use the product as well. Because it consumes energy or it emits directly.
Like some electronics.
Yeah, electronics, gadget is one of the key.
Okay, so if I ask a question like, who is your target audience, what would be your answer?
Okay, so target audience in terms of industries, we right now focusing on 5 industries like the steel manufacturing, even IT companies and textiles. So real estate, this is 5 target customers right now. But in terms of for platform, within a corporate, there are different level of audience. The C-level, CEO, CSOs, so they are the consumer of the data. So they are like the buyers, who needs the solution to make business decisions. The actual users are the business champions for sustainability. So in every department, HR has a champion, or a procurement team has a champion, admin has a champion. So these champions are the actual users of the platform. So they use the data to collect on day out basis. And then the separate set of assurance provider or auditors who actually help to verify this data as a third party. So they are another target audience who help them do it. So right now the product is primarily for corporate or enterprise users. But we also have plans to launch it for consulting firms. So whoever is providing consulting to their customers, they should be able to use the ClimeUp intelligent platform. and then manage their customer data,
Okay.
remotely audited, and manage their sustainability reporting point of view. So that's another thing we are currently working on.
Okay. So consultants who are helping other enterprise to adapt to ESG.
To adopt ESG or help them prepare the ESG report or GHG emission calculation stuff.
Okay, so for while recording this episode itself, we use AC current and we used to charge battery itself.
Yes.
So do I have to think about it in such a way that I was polluting this environment, but I'm not using any clean energy to do such things. So from transportation itself to shooting itself to reproduce it and to upload it, and when reaching to the end customer itself, do I have to be conscious in some way, or while you're talking about the clean energy and stuffs, no, that's hit me hard. That's why I'm asking.
No, absolutely. See, the thought about, right, do I need to do something, right? So that's the starting point, right?
Okay.
So you'll always think now, before you do any podcast, right? So you always think how we can do energy efficient. Right?
Okay, like I reached the Rapido today. So should I plan earlier and should I take a metro or like that also?
Right. So
that's a little thing that would make a difference, no?
Definitely. Yes. So everyday commute and everyday energy use and the setup. But the thing is, if you ensure that as much as possible we leverage the resources in a minimalist way, and but we cannot completely eradicate, right? Because everybody has to do something. But while do that, you make a decision about leveraging the resources very minimal or optimized way. The second is like the energy part we talked about. So when you set up your own setup
like what MKPhD do, no? He just sunroofed his entire
exactly.
office and
so try
his
to
house
get
with solar.
Clean energy. So as much as possible.
Okay.
So that's one of the things. There are many things we can do. Some of the things I can do.
From next episode, I just keep in mind and just before planning itself, I just plan these things also.
Perfect. I really thank you for making an impact in this podcast itself.
Thank you. Actually, while talking with Vishnu, in day-to-day itself, activity itself, I make some changes. So while talking to you, it's hit me hard. Like from what I try to produce itself, I was using energies in a wrong way. So it's helped me a lot.
Yeah, I really humbled. Thanks for saying that.
Okay, so while we're talking about that, you said about it was powered by AI, no? So what kind of AI is helping out in this space?
Yeah, so what the current module I talked about earlier is primarily to data management, generate reports, and after the intervention of Gen AI, we started exploring. So there are multiple use cases we have currently experimenting. So right from data quality checks. Till enablement of customers, because that has been a key area. Like the Gen AI can help, like what is the latest change in ESRS or the framework changes, and similarly like the AI module can help with the recommendations.
Okay.
So now you have multiple facilities data, so it can do the massage of the data and then tell you. This facility has a big impact and you need to do it. And then to the level like where you can take steps. So it can recommend you to take steps. So some of those use cases we are running, and there's one critical use cases since it's a very information overload space. So we are working on a model where it can help to automatically upgrade the latest frameworks and keep the platform intact so that your ability to not to worry about the changes coming from the market, and then you have the always latest frameworks for it.
Okay, so if some Europe makes some changes in this framework itself, will get updated.
Yes, so that's something we are experimenting right now because it's still in nascent stage. But we see a very strong need for these solutions.
Then it also connect the dots and came up with a solution also, no?
So, yes.
So with different data points, it can collect and come up with a solution like so. This can be a thing that we can concentrate there also.
Exactly. I mean, so this is a space where you deal with a lot of data. So you don't need to worry about training. So there is multiple industries involved and there is multiple data. So it's in reality, it's a ERP for sustainability.
Okay.
But the existing ERPs are a little heavy in terms of the way it built, also the price point per se. So that's why the outside in look. So we come from it's not only a tool we wanted to build, we wanted to see how we nurture the culture of sustainability.
Okay.
Because traditionally, if you see sustainability folks, or they are pretty much into their routine. I mean, there are a lot of tasks for them. It's very lean team, but they given responsibility of managing health and safety, environment, and at sometimes compliance, risk, so many things. And leveraging of tool, it's not the day-to-day tasks. Mostly they deal with Excel.
Extra things they want.
So now with this tool, they no need to worry about how to do the calculation or how to do the reporting part.
Okay.
They can spend time with their employees to educate them, ensure the process in place, and then leverage the tool to manage the data and then get the recommendation from the platform.
So talking about the team, does every enterprise have a such team dedicated for this thing?
Yes. So if you see the last 2 years, right, so there is a new role has been defined for a chief sustainability officer.
Yeah, I see on guy from Coca-Cola. Then at that point only, I know that there is a specific designation for that.
Yes, and we have seen the transformation because we have been in this market for the last 1.5 year, and a lot of existing sustainability or the CSR or health and safety officers who actually knows on the ground what they need to do, and they are given responsibility to own the sustainability, which is good because they already know the landscape, and the only space where we are helping them is like the knowledge part, because it's inhuman to ask them to upskill in a very short term with all the frameworks and different country regulations. So that's where this consultancy is really advisory helps actually. So we primarily help them, we work with them, and their teams are right now it's between a 1 to 6 member team, depends on the size. But they have a lot of responsibility.
Okay.
And having this kind of digital tool will really help them to manage the process seamlessly. And it's no more an option. I think every CEO want to see a bi-weekly dashboard of ESG performance.
Okay.
Because the rating agencies are creating a ESG score on a daily basis.
On a daily basis.
Because if you are listed in company and your ESG score needs to be published on a daily basis. So that's another mandate. So it's actually top of the list on a morning. The reporting, you do it once in a year. There are different timelines for different countries. But progress monitoring is the key. Okay, once you know that, okay, I need to increase the gender diversity or environmental, I need to invest on clean and technology. So finding a right vendors, right clean tech product, investing in. So those are the progress they need to monitor, change course if needed, and things like that.
Okay. Yeah. So if I was a startup, do I have to employ one specific person for that? Otherwise, a CEO can handle such things.
Yeah, I think for startup, you don't need a dedicated person. And you can manage it. Any one of the persons should own it, that's for sure. I think depends on the size of the startup again. Now startups are different sizes until they become scale up. But as part of your business strategy or a business plan, there has to be a section where you take care of your processes and in the ESG metrics point of view. And when you are small, then data will be very small. You don't need to worry about too much of data crunching and stuff like that. But as you grow, it becomes critical.
Okay, so in the introduction itself, you told like you have 2 decades of experience on IT.
Right.
So I have gone through your profile. So you are working on IoT, AR, VR. What's the current trend and things, no? Especially on mobile and sales also you have worked. So why sustainability now? Why not IoT, AR and VR? Why not a startup on that kind of thing? And why you choose sustainability over this kind of technologies?
I think it's a very interesting question. It's very close to me. The thing is, as a technology person, right? So you work on multiple technology. Sometimes you have technology where there is no need for technology, but you see these Gen Zs are doing a lot of things. So what happened in my career is, fortunately, I got opportunity to work in multiple technologies at different stages, and it's also trending technologies.
Okay.
Because basically I am a very curious person, so I wanted to learn something new, explore. So what happened is, so I lived in US and I lived in Netherlands, but I want to come back to India to live there for my personal reasons and family commitments. But even though I'm in India, but I want to do something at a global scale.
Okay.
So my last work, where I was building the smart city projects, which is actually an application for sustainable living, impacting smart city or smart township or a small residential complex. And we track the complete water, energy consumption, waste, and air quality, etc. And there is tremendous impact.
Okay.
Because that is the first time I interacted with an end customer, because it's a B2C.
Yeah, it's a B2C.
Because all along you work in Fortune 500, build something for customers in
You won't get
Europe
the
and
opportunity to make
US. You talk to customers, it's all there, but not the end customers. So this is actually very personal, face-to-face conversation. And the impact what we created in India with a very high tech of IoT solution using LoRaWAN, which at a different scale, none of the other players played in India. It's actually, the impact is huge. And then and that's when I think, I kind of realized technology with impact is what I need to do.
Okay.
So that's the decision I made. It's not for the sake of technology, because when I was before ClimeUp, a lot of ideas to do different startups, including metaverse, but I didn't see any real impact for certain technology. Maybe if there is a real use case, I might be impressed with that. I think some of the folks might not be happy with what I'm talking about metaverse, but the thing is, the technology should help to impact lives. That's what I believe in.
Okay.
And the reason I switched from B2C to B2B is also same.
Yeah,
We wanted
that was
to
my
make
next question to ask.
we want to make a greater impact or a big impact rather than doing it in silos. We wanted to target the big fish. And if enterprises are adapting and they are sustainable, everybody could be sustainable.
Yeah.
So that's the reason
That's like
why.
a bigger impact, no? Overall.
Yes, overall. And there is opportunities are more. Even if you see economically, so every industry has to do it. There is a lot of opportunity for many players to come into this space and do technology solutions and stuff like that. But if you help them accelerate their journey, why not? That's what we love to do.
Can we expect something B2C from ClimeUp?
Yes. Again, as an entrepreneur, you always think how you can have one solution, give it to multiple target audience, right? So that is always back of the mind. But I also feel that like the enterprise having mandatory, because any action they do or any strategy decision they make, it has a direct impact, right? As an individual, it's a behavioral change we need to bring. There is a lot of ideas in mind, but maybe when the time is right, we will launch it. But right now, it's primarily on the B2B side.
Okay. So you have said like the frameworks would be updated constantly from place to place. It updated constantly.
Yeah.
So how you stay updated on about knowing all the things around the sustainability and ESG?
Yeah, I mean, keep your eyes open and follow all the leading frameworks, the foundations or institution who's building these frameworks. And attend their webinars and a lot of readings, because this is the space I know. I'll be honest. The last 1 year, what I read, I've not read in the last 20 years. Because last 20 years is more about you learn a technology and then you do it or you build. Because once you know what is Azure stack or AWS stack, that's it, right? But here it's more about understanding each industry.
Yeah. We're working with 5 industries, 5 types of industries.
Yeah, we just started. Right now, we're focusing on 5 industries. Heavy contributing industries like be it steel or manufacturing, real estate, textile, some to name a few. So it's very important to each industry has its own life cycle of right from sourcing till product, end of the life of the product, right? So it's very interesting. I mean, only if you understand the business end to end, you are able to provide advisory. So we spent a lot of time and we hired experts in this field who are environmental engineers and energy auditors and climate science. Yeah.
There is auditors for these things also.
Yeah. So they come from auditing experience, but they do consulting with us now. So because that experience helps,
Okay.
because they might have seen multiple industries,
Okay.
what could be improved, how the energy can be optimized, things like that. So as part of recommendations, we also help them to achieve that. Yeah.
Okay. So you have been employed for past 20 years, no? So from that point to one CEO, what's the one mind shift you feel right now after being a CEO?
I will be honest with you.
Yeah.
For me, it's always like whatever I have taken, I have to accomplish it,
Okay.
and give the right. You work in a project and you're given deliverable. You try to do your best, right? So that is still there as a CEO. So now the responsibility is little wider, because it's not only the solution matters, right? So now the decision I take is impacting the customer, impacting our own employee. So there is a little more responsibility around the economic stability of the company, which is not there when you are an employer.
Yeah.
So you do project and then you deliver it, and you get a monthly salary. But so here it's a little different. So you have to manage all those things, and still you pursue to achieve your goal.
Yeah.
And motivate the team to achieve the goal, because that is what as a entrepreneur CEO I feel.
So you had an experience of working with different kind of people from different industries and different countries also, no? Does it impact in creating this application in other way? Like to know about different kind of people and the environment. You've been in Netherlands also,
yes,
no?
of course, yeah. No, actually it's very much useful, because we are able to think global, because we have a reach,
Yeah.
and we have
And
past
you have been there,
experience.
no?
Yes. We are able to connect the culture and how they are living. If you, especially since you touched about Netherlands, right? Dutch is one of the, I think, great nation where you see a lot of cyclists in the world.
Okay, Netherlands.
And yeah. So I think, if I'm right, I think Amsterdam is one of the most crowded cycle parkings in the world.
Okay.
There are a lot of cycles, dedicated lanes. So because they, as a culture, they do a lot of cycling. And that is sustainable living, because there is cycle lanes provided for citizens. Because of that, they are able to use that and promote the sustainable transport, which is actually good. So now we see nowadays in our country also is coming up a lot of cycling habits. Of course, weather is also one thing helping them to adapt it. But so what I'm saying is, the countries who already living in a sustainable way, and there is a lot of sustainable fashion is coming up.
Yeah.
Reuse of materials, reusing of plastic for avoiding virgin. I think probably you might have heard from other podcasts, but the thing is, the awareness is more in outside India.
Okay.
And there is a lot of very stringent rules in Europe and the US. They don't have any choice, so they have but doing that.
Okay.
So they have to do it. So that actually helping to drive this initiative much faster in outside India. So India, as we are still in the phase of a developing nation, so I think our commitment for net zero is 2070, which is something.
Oh, it's not 2015, no, for net zero.
No, 2070 as a country.
As a country.
Yeah, so that is something committed by, Narendra Modi ji. But as an companies working with global players, you need not wait for that, because you will not be in business if you wait for 20 cents. So you have to take proactive measures and try to accelerate this journey. And the push is coming from outside India. So that's the truth. And if you want to be in the business working with global customers, or you want to export your product, and you need to aware of these things, and then work closely with the consultants to generate the reports and publish it and monitor it and take actions. That is key. Because most of the time what happens in our Indian context is like everything is seen as a regulatory. So you get a certificate, it's done. So it's not like that actually, because this time it is not like that, because now the climate change is very evident. Each and everyone is impacted.
Exactly.
The temperatures are going up. So it's time to take action. So everybody is watching.
Okay. So it's now, I think whether it's another good question or not, is it possible to fake the things like the metrics and things in the ESG?
Yeah, see, that's where, it is possible. So the answer to it is possible, because end of the day, humans are the most precious resource, is going to use the tool, and they are going to review the data, they are going to audit the data. So it's always possible in any software platform. But I think that's where, this mindset change needs to be done.
Okay, like the climate change is real. You have to act on it.
Yes, that's real. And the government also coming up with a lot of penalties, and like the greenwashing is one of the topics where people try to portray that they are green, but they don't really do anything.
But they are the one that are most polluting.
Right. So it's not that they can escape just by, the data what they are giving will be audited, verified, and if they found wrong, there will be penalties.
Okay.
It will be impact your business and brand. That is one. Second, that's the place where the AI could play a role.
Okay.
You have to build ethically unbiased AI, which can help you to take care of these data discrepancy validations. And avoid human intervention as much as possible. Automate the data collection through sensor technology like IoT. So the data, instead of somebody's feeding the data manually, you can deploy a sensor and collect the data. This is some of the way technology can help. But platform has a verification layer where there is a 4A principle. So one person enter the data, verified, the other person can review it and approve it. And if both the parties are aligned, and so we trust the employees will do things good for their company and not to jeopardize the opportunity given to them.
Okay. So while you're talking about, you mentioned IoT, no? So do you provide any IoT solutions too with this application?
So right now we are partnered with another company to provide IoT technology to integrate with our platform. So anybody who want to collect data automatically, yes, we have a solution. Good point.
So you are partnered with them?
Yes, we have partnered with them because as a startup, it's too much to handle.
In a product, no?
In a product, and we like to take the lean approach. We wanted to focus primarily on what customer need now, because IoT is pretty mature industry now, because I've been there for last 8 years. There is a lot of solutions available and a lot of good players are available. So as an IoT player, normally the tendency to build another IoT company, but I decide not to do that. Rather focus on something which helps customers right now, right? So this is something is not available. And everybody is talking about reaching the climate goals, net zero goals, but there is no tool. So that's one of the things, so we kind of picked up very early in 2021. So we started concepting the idea, okay, we have to do this will be a big impact. And that's how, we get into this space.
So I have seen you are speaking on different conference from Malaysia and other places, no? Does it help you in a business way?
Yes, certainly. So basically it helps in two ways. One is to help the brand visible to another.
Make you an authority in this space, no? The person who know about these things.
Right. So that's one thing. And that's one of the reasons they invited us. So we are honored for that. And second is it's also an opportunity to going global and getting new partners and networks in that region. So we already have lined up 6 meetings along with the conferences where they like to see our solutions, partner with that, provide co-join solutions. So a lot of things happening. So we see the traction. So why not? So we help global customers.
So other than that, do you get any invite from India itself? Like, do people speak about it and do conference and things on this sustainability for enterprise?
Yes. So there's a lot of requests coming in, but we are very conscious of choosing or spending effort. The reason being, like, one is some events are commercially it's not viable for a startup.
For the name's sake.
So they think we are a funded company, and but we are bootstrapped, and we continue to bootstrap for some time until we, we get the right VCs who can align with our ideologies and vision. So that will happen one day. So
Yeah.
that's
So looking after VCs and angels right now.
yes. So I mean, we kind of spent quite a lot of time at the beginning of a startup. Even at the idea stage, we spoke to 15 startup VCs, but then we were too early in this space.
Okay.
We end up educating or giving lot of things which it's hard for. I mean, later we realized that it's too hard for VC to understand the space itself because that time even BRSR was not released in India, and a lot of frameworks, even ISSB was not released. So it's very early we did this, and so a lot of VCs are like, okay, so this is about carbon. Then we realized, okay, this is not the right time. We have to stop and then let the market mature. Now the market is matured and every VC and a lot of green investment happening. So we are talking to VCs. Even in Singapore, there is parties interested. So when we go to Malaysia, there is opportunity to meet them as well.
Okay. For a VC perspective, what would be the market size for sustainability and for enterprise, for ClimeUp?
Yeah. So if you take generally, sustainability or ESG space, there is, I think, more than 40 trillion economy because it's not only for the ESG reporting. It has many things like the clean techs or a green hydrogen technology. So the alternate materials, because once you baseline your data, depends on the industry. If you are in a steel industry, you need to look for suppliers who's providing green steel. Textile industry, you need to look for organic cottons or reusable cotton. So those kind of things, right? So likewise, in terms of energy productions, there is a green carbon capture technologies available. And alternate fuels like aviation has a low sulfuric fuel actually. So that is again another company is doing it for aviation, and I think even if I am right, there is a vessel from a ship perspective. There is a green hydrogen fuel is used for a ship last month, first time in the history. So every industry is adapting. So the market potential for green products or green materials or energy is huge. So that's a big industry. And coming to the platform per se, it's a $2 billion industry from now till 2025 as per the data. So that's something, covers carbon accounting and ESG reporting and carbon exchange platform, trading platforms, and carbon offset solution. So there are many things enterprise needs to do. Once they know where they stand today, how do they do internal initiatives, or if they're unable to do, and how they can offset the carbon, there is external solutions. Yeah.
So as I told earlier, so when I searched ESG on Google, it says the first thing I saw was about the investor only, ESG investors. So on that, they have explained like there are the three kind of investor. The new one is called impact investor. The other two are institutional investor and then individual investor, the traditional one,
right?
And the impact investor. So when I deep dive into it, it had mentioned like those who want an impact in the environment, at the same time they want be a financial gain also.
Absolutely.
So what's your thought on that, and have you been approached by any impact investor till now?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, so we kind of spent quite a lot of time in institutional investors and impact investors as well. But I think the industry will drive, in a large way only if the impact investors are, pumping a lot of money into this, and it's happening around the globe. Because the primary reason is to, of course, beyond profit. So they want to make an impact. So they invest in projects where either it is environmental impact or people impact, social impact. So that's the kind of space they primarily interested in, and they want some meaningful returns and meaningful impact for the other things. So we are also looking for such a partners only, because it's if you run only behind the profit, then it's not enough. I mean, otherwise, we could have done multiple other businesses. Why not? We are in this. So
yeah. So regarding the funding and things in the sustainability space, are people raising enough fund in sustainability?
Yes, now it's started again because if you remember in 2022, late 2022 and beginning 2023, there's like the funding winter
Winter is
happened.
there.
And that time, I think Metaverse went and then AI, I think October, November, OpenAI came and it's transformed the AI space. So now again it's kicked up and we are actually thankful we are in intersection of sustainability and AI. So both is very niche and is much needed space. And we wanted to use best of our knowledge and the resources to this effort. So there is a lot of fundings available.
Okay.
So
while back I read like sustainability is the space where it is least invested. Like that I have read some days back. That is it real?
No, it was real.
It was real.
It was real.
Back then.
Because people have very less knowledge about the space and then there is a lot of awareness happened. A lot of big investment firms like BlackRock, Blackstones, they kind of invested heavily on ESG funds. So that actually triggered a lot of attention because only if biggies do, the rest will follow, right?
Yeah.
So that's happening now, and a lot of funds now is flowing on this space actually.
Yeah. So let's assume that investor is seeing this episode and he was educating himself on this space. So some of the points you have to take in mind before investing in such sustainability space. What are the things you would suggest them? So what are the things you should be aware of before investing here?
Yeah, I think as an investors, they already have a very standard due diligence process.
Okay.
That's been there for ages. What is not there is the update of ESG or the impact for ESG is not in that current due diligence. I think it's kind of adding to the existing due diligence checklist. So the investors, or be it institutional or impact investors, they need to ensure that they not only do a standard due diligence of the financial stability of the company, but they also do a ESG aspect of it because that is key. So that is one thing they do. And it's not only to onboard a particular company, even on a regular basis, because what we do as one of the offering from a consulting, we help the financial institutions, investors to help due diligence because they are not an expert in this space.
That's why I was about to ask you.
Yeah, so we provide our knowledge in this space. Because the funding, the institution needs to report their ESG, where they fund, where they invest their money, whether the investment is impacting an environment or it is actually benefiting the environment, right? Or as is you have to report. So that's where we help. It's called financed emissions. So whatever the finance they do for the portfolio companies, whether it is impacting the environment or not. So they have to report it. It's called financed emissions. So from that perspective, the companies needs to take care both the initial onboarding as well as ongoing monitoring perspective.
Yeah, and most of them are aware to maintain their portfolio. I have some impact or some investment in such companies. No, people are more aware on investing in this kind of companies.
Right. Yeah. So now the space is split into multiple space. One is clean tech, climate tech, and sustech. And also the green hydrogen, alternate energy.
EV also come under this.
EV is kind of stuck in between clean tech and the clean transportation. Because there is the big debate going on whether EV is still good, environment friendly, or because it still uses electricity for charging the battery, and it creates a lot of e-waste, the battery once it is out of life. The recycling process is still not well thought through because we know that our mobile batteries and laptop batteries, so how this is going in China. So the waste is going to increase when the battery is going to for us. So that's another big topic itself. But I'm sure there will be good technology or process will be in place to manage that because right from cradle to gate, like mining of this cobalt, that's again a lot of resources we consume and the employability of those things is already come under this criticism of unhealthy ambience for employee to work and things like that.
It's a debatable one.
A debatable one. So
Okay. Shall we go move to the personal questions?
yeah, sure.
Sure. So, apart from the 20 years of working and the CEO of ClimeUp.ai, who is Thiru? Other than that,
Yeah, so apart from work, so Thiru is a normal, normal person where I come from a very humble background in Tier 2 city, Selvan, right? So my father is a head constable of police, and in his life he tried a lot of startups, supporting startups. Not startup that time, it's like a business, right? So he used to invest in the relatives' business and help them do it. But most of things are not come out very well. And he's been motivational. He always, whenever I was in work, he used to say that you can do this, you try this. So that's one of the inspiration. And my family is always supportive. So now, even now, my wife and my son, so there is a lot of sacrifice for last 3 years and doing this preparation for the startup and then launching startup. I think it's going to continue for a while. And I'm very fortunate to have very good friends, close friends of mine, who have been very supportive and motivating for launching this ClimeUp. And my partner, who believed in me and joined hands in doing that. And a lot of ex-colleagues and then partners, business partners who actually helped to build products. And so I really thank them. And I'm happy for what I'm having right now.
Okay. I read like you are more into painting.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting story because I don't know anybody will believe it. I was not a painter at the young age, but when I was in Netherlands, I think something happened. I was kind of bored and I started with playing with paints and canvas. Then I end up creating a whole 40 plus painting of canvases of 2x3 size, 3x4 sizes. And,
what kind of paintings that?
It's acrylic and abstract painting. And so I kind of get motivated by my wife. She used to, every week we used to buy around 300 euros of painting material. I spent like that. And then a few of my paintings also I given to Cognizant in Netherlands. It's the time they are opening a new office. They want to put something on the wall. So my manager called me, Thiru, you are doing some painting, why not? So I just brought, and I'm sure, I think it's still there somewhere. But that is one thing. And my son also used to do a lot of paintings at a young age. So I like that, the companionship of doing that. But I think it's been a while I did that again.
So that's why I'm next. Do you find time for now to do paintings?
Right now, no. But I love to do that again, after some time.
Okay. So you have mentioned like your dad has tried to help people on their startup and things. So most of them would fail, as you said. So what's failure to you? So how you see a failure?
See, failure for me is like, it's again, for me, like until I complete the particular task which I've taken, it is not complete, right? So leave the success is secondary. Like you have to follow the process and then ensure that this is how it is done. So you need to follow. So I'm a strong believer of that. And I also take lessons from the mentors, understand from them, so how they pursue things. There are very good mentors and public forums in India, so I follow them. But otherwise, for me, failure, until I accept failure, it is not failure, right? So that is how I see it, actually.
Okay. Do you have a bit of reading?
Not much, but again, from one of the mentor, I got an inspiration that because I buy a lot of books. Okay. I'll be honest, from the time of my working so in corporates. So whenever I see something, okay, this I have to read, and I'll buy a lot of books. And somehow I start reading, and after some time it's very monotonous, and they put some matrix or pie chart. Then it becomes very technical. Okay, but we like more of philosophical. And there is one thing I recently heard from Mr. Suresh Amandam sir from Kisful. So I've been a great follower of his post and his work. I admire him. He mentioned about LSD, so leadership and self-deception is one of the book. I recently started and I'm almost there. It's because he put a dedicated post for this, that this is not just another leadership book. It's philosophical. I find it philosophical.
Okay.
It's about how you see others, as a colleagues or people in the public, and how you perceive them. It's more about your internal change and how you look at others. So I really like that kind of books. Yeah.
So you get an opportunity to put something in a billboard where most of the people attention would be grabbed. So it's a billboard in a main area, like in Anna Salai or something like that. So you get an opportunity to put something like a quote or a thing you want to say to everyone. So what would that be?
Happy learning.
Happy learning. So you believe in learning continuously.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing kept me going till date.
Yeah.
Right from be it technology or learning something new. Even sustainability is new.
Yeah.
But technology is not. So learning something and trying to,
you done MBA also, no? From
yeah, I did an EMBA.
Okay.
Because that is another story of mine. Because post my graduation, I want to do an MBA. The Chennai, I was in Adyar. I'm going for this time coaching center.
CAT.
Yeah, CAT and IIM and all. So IIT, JEE, everything's written and off-baked, right? You work in the day and then you do over weekend. I didn't get it, but there is always something in me like I wanted to pursue, go to next level and stuff like that, right? So even when I was in Netherlands, I applied for RSM, Rotterdam School of Business. I got the admission, but then the fee is too huge, and I made a decision I will drop it. But that's back of the mind. I always want to do an executive MBA. Want to do some learnings, for formal learning for an MBA, right? And then I find this one when I was working in a startup, building a company from 0 to 1. I find this online course like Quantic, business and technology. So that actually kind of helped because one side I'm doing a startup, building a startup. A lot of things about the product and customer discovery and pricing of the product and bundling. So much thing I do on the ground. At the same time, I learn from this course. It's an online course.
Okay.
But it is from a United States institute, and then it's very well thought through program. So I kind of achieved that dream, 2 years back, and it's helped me a lot.
Yeah. Do you have any to-do list of learn something new other than sustainability and tech and something? Do you have any to-do list to be ticked?
No, right now, see, like I normally I don't have a lot of to-do list. This actually because, it's like childhood, thinking, right? So after you finish your college, you want to do something MBA. Somebody told, okay, MBA is good for, you were getting a job or something. It's kind of missing. So that's the one part. But otherwise, in my career is always like on the go. So if you learn something and you deliver it. So right now the focus is more building this startup and making it, a big impact for the customers and build the brand and grow them.
Do you want to learn something completely offbeat, like from completely new thing, like a pottery or something?
Completely new thing. If I get an opportunity, I will again go back to the painting part of it.
Okay, to explore more on
explore more of it, and then spend more time on that as.
Okay. Yeah. So we are gonna wind up the podcast. Do you want to conclude anything else? We can move on that. And one more thing,
sure.
You have a question from a previous guest.
Okay.
That's a kind of a ritual the podcast have.
Okay, sure.
So you also have to write a question for the next guest.
Okay.
So
sure.
The last guest asked you like ideas or ideologies that you think shouldn't die, that it should be prevented. An idea or ideology.
Woman empowerment is something, always I feel that, that is something, even though I'm not a feminist spoken, loudly, but I really admire the kind of sacrifice the girls After they marry, they go through the family thing, and then they kind of sacrifice their job. And even one of my first employee was like, she did college and she got married immediately after that. And after few years she didn't work, and so we gave the opportunity in ClimeUp with the first employee because she showed a lot of enthusiasm.
Okay.
And I still feel that a lot of such young women who actually done their college and they want to achieve a lot of things, but due to family situation. So I kind of feel that women empowerment should be there. It should grow. And as a husband or a brother, I think you should support them what they want to achieve. So that's how I feel.
Okay, Thiru. So you just write a question for the next CEO,
Sure.
next CEO or someone who enable this ecosystem, and feedback for me for about this podcast too.
Sure.
So thank you.
Will do. Thank you. It's very good.
Thanks for listening to Being Scenius with Selvan. If you like to have a conversation with Thiru, I just put his LinkedIn profile and his company website in the description itself. If you have any specific feedback, please let me know in the comment, or you can reach me out on my social media handles I just mentioned in the description itself. If you like to support our podcast, make sure you like and leave a comment, which helps algorithm to reach more people. And if you like to support more than that, I have mentioned my UPI ID in the description itself. Such helps will help me to move forward with doing this podcast, which help us to do more valuable content in the podcast. Once again, thank you so much for listening to Being Scenius with Selvan.